3-minute closing statement, followed by Congressman Murphy with 3 minutes. Senator Cappiello.
Thank you. Again, I want to thank everyone for putting this debate together, the News Times, the Portuguese Cultural Center, and Chris for moderating this debate as well. You and I have a connection at Western Connecticut State University, and I deeply am grateful. And I sincerely want to thank Congressman Murphy. In spite of this debate and this, we go at each other sometimes, but we actually like each other when we're not standing up here on stage.
I like you.
Do I get time when he closes now? In the state Senate, there are no sides. We sit in a circle. Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter. I'm surrounded right now by 2 Democrats, and we talk and we engage in debate and we try and get things done. It's a symbol that I take to heart. I have been so proud to serve and represent the people of the 24th District for the last 10 years and the 138th District for 4 years before that, and proud to represent most of you who are in this audience today. It was an honor for me. I never took it for granted, and I want to thank you for all of your years of support. But sometimes when people leave that circle, they forget what it means to work together. They simply point fingers at one another and say it's the administration's fault, it's the other party's fault. We've got to get past that. We have to have people who are going to represent us in Washington, D.C., who are going to start by changing the way they themselves act. There are only 435 members of Congress and 100 U.S. senators. If we're going to make a change in Washington, D.C., if we're going to set an example for people back home, we need to start by looking at ourselves. We talk about this massive debt that's growing by individual members here in the audience may have large credit card bills, mortgage payments that are tough to pay. But how does Congress lead? Congress leads by spending trillions of dollars it doesn't have. That's got to stop. We need people who are going to go to Washington, D.C., who are not going to simply say yes to their leadership. Someone who's going to take a stand and say, you know what, whether it's their governor, whether it's their Senate leader, their House leader, or their president, I disagree with you. Now, my opponent has voted with his leadership 98% of the time. I don't know when he's really taking a stand against them. I will. I have a proven track record in my Senate district and in the House, and I will do it for you in the 5th Congressional District. Finally, I just want to thank all of you again, my family, my beautiful wife, my mom and dad, because I'll tell you what, I'm here because of what my mom and dad have done. The reputation that they built for me in this community gave me the chance, gave me the opportunity to run for council in 1993 and state rep in 1994 and the state senate in 1998. People gave me the benefit of the doubt because of them. Luckily, I built upon that, and I think I've built a strong base of support. But I'm here to tell you, Mom and Dad, thank you for everything you've done. I love you.
Congressman Murphy, you have 3 minutes.
Well, let me add my thanks to Senator Cappiello. This is the last of what I think have been 5 good debates, and to thank you for being here to participate. But I do think that you have seen tonight a pretty clear difference between how we approach this campaign and how I think we both approach politics. Senator Cappiello couldn't get through 10 seconds of his opening statement without attacking. He used the questions that he had to make political points about supporters and contributions, instead of talking about the issues that really affect the families of Danbury and of this district, instead of trying to engage in a dialogue about how we fix our broken economy, instead of talking about the threats presented to this country, instead of talking about health care, instead of talking about energy reform. He used that time to talk about political accusations that in the end, I think, have much less bearing, if any at all, to all of our lives than those big, broad, important questions. I'm here tonight to talk about solutions. I brought 2 questions tonight to try to engage in a conversation about those solutions. And I just hope that the rest of the campaign follows in that spirit. Because I come back to where I started. I mean, I think about my young son at home, and I don't want him to grow up in a world in which he's ashamed of the fact that his father chose to go into politics. Now, that happens by politicians having the courage, as both David and I have done in the past, to stand up to our party whether it be Senator Cappiello's work in the state legislature or my work in this past Congress, to lead the fight to pass an ethics reform bill that the old guard in both the Republican and Democratic caucus had stopped from happening for 20 years. That's an accomplishment I'm proud of. But how I make a world in which people want to be active in politics, in which my son doesn't feel bad about the fact that his father has chosen this profession, is also in how I conduct myself in this debate and how I conduct myself in this campaign. You've seen two very different visions here, as you have throughout the course of this campaign. Attack ads from one side and solutions, and talk about what our positive vision is going forward. I'm not ashamed of that. I don't see any weakness in standing up and running a positive campaign. I think it's what people want throughout this district and throughout the state. And I think they especially want it right now, when there are so many challenges and so many threats to this country. I am an unapologetic idealist about what we're doing going forward. We are in a moment of great economic crisis for this country, but I see in that crisis opportunity. I see an opportunity to tackle healthcare reform and make it more affordable for both businesses and individuals. I see an opportunity to tackle energy reform as well. And in the process, I think that we can rise to these great challenges and try to lift up the political dialogue in the process. I don't think this has happened from Senator Cappiello in the course of this debate or this campaign. And I hope that we get to set a very different tone going forward in the next Tuesday. Thank you very much for
I'd like to thank you, the audience, for your respect and your decorum this evening. Thank you, audience. I would also like to thank the panelists and our moderator, and of course the candidates one more time. Thank you for joining us.
But because I am unique in the sense